morning. Thank you, Jennifer, for your presentation, distinguished authorities and international experts. First, I want to thank the organizers of this international conference for the invitation to speak at this plenary session on key principles for effective legal aid systems. Our institution, Argentina's Federal Public Defender's Office, plays a major role in the promotion and protection of human rights and has the primary mission of promoting access to justice and providing representation to those without legal representative, not only in criminal matters. The first characteristic I think should be noted is that the Argentine Federal Public Defender's Office is a state agency established by the national constitution, hence in accordance with Principle 1 of the United Nations Principles and Guidelines. The institution ensures functional autonomy and financial autarky and is independent from the government structures and the administration of the judiciary. Financial autonomy and independence from any government structure and from the judiciary is essential as it allows organizing the system in the spirit of best providing an effective legal assistance service without taking orders or instructions from any agency, whether the judiciary or administrative, that is external to its structure. That's according with Principle 12 and 2.16 of the United Nations Principles. Moreover, the financial autarky implies that the Federal Public Defender's Office has its own budget line within the national budget and is involved in its elaboration since, by provision of the organic law of the institution, each year we prepare a draft budget and submit it to the Congress. The budget is managed and implemented by the institution without outside interference, though, of course, subject to various internal and external accountability mechanisms. While most Latin American countries have legal aid systems provided by the state, not in all of them are the institutions in charge of providing the service autonomous, depending instead, in some cases, from executive powers, in others from judicial powers or prosecutors, and thus restricting public defenders' freedom and capacity of action in those countries. Therefore, the Inter-American Association of Public Defenders, an institution that brings together the public defenders' offices from most Latin American countries, including the Argentine Federal Public Defender's Office, has taken the issue of the need to guarantee the autonomy of public defenders to the General Assembly of the Organization of American States and attained the adoption of 4 resolutions of paramount importance, which I can comment more on question time if you want. The Office of the Federal Public Defender General is the Federal Public Defender's governing, administrating body, as well as the seat of action of the Federal Public Defender General, which is the highest authority of the institution, holding the hierarchy and pay of a justice and of the Federal Prosecutor General of the country, chief of the public prosecutors. It also hosts the way where it hosts the public defenders of the office and the public defenders before the Supreme Court of Justice. All national and federal public defenders' offices in the country, organized by jurisdiction and instance, as well as public tutors and curators' offices, report to it. The public defenders' offices are created by law. Their heads are official public defenders who act as magistrates and are matched in hierarchy and payment with judges and prosecutors of the instances in which they intervene, as well as in functional warranties, security of tenure as long as they show with behavior, salary intangibility, and immunity to arrest, being thus protected from inappropriate external pressures in the exercise of their functions. Public tutors and curators who intervene in the legal representation of underage and incompetent persons, respectively, are also part of the structure of the Federal Public Defender's Office. Moreover, considering the special needs for the public defense service, administrative resolutions have been passed to create court attorneys divisions consisting of officials of the institution who meet the requirements to be designated as official public defenders in order to provide for defense in different spheres of intervention where existing public defenders' offices cannot cover the defense needs. Finally, also within the structure of the Office of the Federal Public Defender General, there are programs and commissions consisting of public defenders as well as officials which are dedicated to specific subject areas to facilitate access to justice for most vulnerable sectors of society. On this I will return in the next section. Importantly, all of the above positions can only be accessed through public competitions or exams that guarantee the suitability of the designated persons. The Federal Public Defender General is designated by proposal of the Executive with the Senate's approval following a public hearing in which civil society can challenge the candidate. The other magistrates, official public defenders, are designated by the Executive from a short list of 3 candidates made after a public exam and merit-based competition and with the Senate's endorsement. Officials are appointed by the Federal Public Defender General from a list of those who have passed the exams to access the respective positions. The Federal Public Defender Office intervenes in all jurisdictions and instances aiming at guaranteeing and protecting civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights guaranteed by the National Constitution and international rights instruments. Specifically, spheres of intervention of the Federal Public Defender Office are the following: criminal defense. According to the ruling criminal process order in Argentina, the right to defense is considered to be the right of the accused, who is free to choose the lawyer who will defend him. If the accused does not do so, the court must appoint a corresponding public defender. Thus, in criminal courts, the Federal Public Defender's Office takes on the defense of any person accused of a crime, as long as no private lawyer has been appointed. Toward this end, it's not necessary to fulfill the requirement of poverty or lack of sufficient means to afford a lawyer in order to be assisted by official public defenders. The service is offered free of charge. Nevertheless, if the accused is convicted and has sufficient economic means at the moment of the sentence, he or she must pay for the public defense service the fees judicially set to the public defender's office, that is, the institution, and not to the defender who intervened in the case. Then we give legal representation in non-criminal matters. In those remaining matters, civil, commercial, labor, administrative litigation, and social security, among others, the Federal Public Defender's Office takes on the free assistance of people who wish to assert their rights, as long as they prove that they do not have means to afford a private attorney, or that, due to some other reason, they weren't able to have access to one. The tasks assigned to the defenders are not limited to legal representation in trial, but instead they also deal with answering inquiries and giving legal advice to people with insufficient means at their request, attempting to provide conciliation and alternative means for dispute resolution before a judicial process starts. The Federal Public Defender's Office is responsible for assistance to and representation of children and those whose capacity is challenged or have been declared incompetent in all matters affecting their assets, property, or interests. That's according with Principle 11 of the Principles and Guidelines. In all the above-mentioned cases, the Federal Public Defender's Office intervenes from the beginning of the process, from the detention, and in all instances, including the sentence execution stage. That's according with Principle 3, Paragraph 20. Along with all these tasks carried out by public defenders, tutors, and curators, and officials of the court attorneys divisions, according to the attributions provided in the organic law of the Federal Public Office, the Federal Public Defender General is expected to perform all actions conducive to defend and protect human rights, and to promote and implement policies that will easy to justice on the part of discriminated sectors, and to represent and provide technical aid to any person who so requests, be it in direct or delegated manner, before the relevant international institution. The Federal Public Defender General has hence created several programs and commissions to aim at facilitating access to justice for people living in vulnerable conditions and providing a support structure to public defenders in their tasks. The main programs and commissions operated within the office of the Federal Public Defender General are the following. For time reasons, I'll just name them, but we can develop one or more on question time. The Prison Commission, which visits prisons. Follow-up Commission of Institutional Treatment of Children and Adolescents. The Assistance and Legal Aid Program that in certain crimes we can represent victims of crimes. We give lawyers to represent victims of crime. That's according to Principle 4 of the United Nations Principles. The Program on Social Issues and Community Relations. The Commission for Global Assistance and Protection of Refugees and Refugee Petitioners. The Commission of Gender Issues, which represents women victims of gender violence. The Pilot Program for Legal Aid to Confined Women. The program on cultural diversity, which works with indigenous people. The Migrant Commission with migrants. Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights Department. the program on healthcare, disability, and older adult issues, the program against torture, which I command at the institution, institutional violence, the Centers for Access to Justice, which are centers of the Public Defender's Office set in the very poor neighborhoods, so people can come to us in the same neighborhoods, the Court Attorneys Division on mental health, and finally the program for enforcement of international treaties on human rights, that is the office which helps the General Defender on those cases we take to the Inter-American system of protection of human rights. That's the Inter-American Commission and Court of Human Rights. That's all for now. Thank you very much for your attention, and I remain at your disposal for further details. Thank you.